Employee engagement, it's such a crucial factor in business success, impacting productivity, innovation, and the overall productivity. And according to a recent study done by Gallup, highly engaged business units, they experience 23% higher profitability and 18% higher sales growth compared to those with lower engagement levels.
So, reaching out to workers in Canada on a monthly basis, speaking to both full-time employees as well as part-time workers to get a sentiment and a pulse on happiness in their workplace.
You're right, recognizing and rewarding employees, fostering a culture of open communication, and providing opportunities for growth and development can significantly impact employee engagement and overall morale.
When I've gone away on a break and actually, trusted my team and disconnected, I feel refreshed. I feel more energetic. I feel more engaged getting back into it than if I haven't actually stopped. So it's about encouraging people to take their breaks, encouraging people to actually disconnect.
Listeners, if you are keeping a pulse on the well-being of your employees and creating a workplace where they feel valued, supported, and engaged, please remember that investing in your employees is an investment in the future success of your business. This is Maheen, and welcome to the CanadianSME Small Business Podcast, where we explore the critical connection between employee well-being and organizational success, really providing insights and strategies for building a thriving and engaged workforce. Now, employee engagement, it's such a crucial factor in business success, impacting productivity, innovation, and the overall productivity. And according to a recent study done by Gallup, highly engaged business units, they experience 23% higher profitability and 18% higher sales growth compared to those with lower engagement levels. So, joining us today is Heather Haslam, the VP of Marketing at ADP Canada, a leading provider of HR solutions that empower businesses to design better ways to work. And Heather's expertise in HR trends, employee engagement, and workplace happiness makes her a valuable resource for Canadian entrepreneurs and business leaders. So today we will be kind of covering a lot. We will be delving into the importance of keeping a pulse on employee sentiment, explore global workforce trends impacting engagement and career advancement, and discuss practical strategies for employees or employers to invest in their employees. And discuss practical strategies for employers to invest in their employees and foster a thriving workplace culture. So without a further ado, let's get started and welcome our guest. Heather, we're very pleased to have you back on the show. How are you?
Wonderful. Maheen, thank you so much. And thank you to the Canadian SME team for having us return. I love this.
It's always a pleasure. And we're very eager, Heather, to really learn from your expertise yet again and understand how businesses can create a workplace where employees feel supported, they feel motivated and empowered to reach their full potential. Now, Heather, ADP Canada's Happiness at Work Index, it provides valuable insights into the sentiment of Canadian workers. Now, for those who may be tuning in for the first time, can you explain why ADP conducts this index and how it helps businesses understand the current state of employee well-being?
Absolutely. ADP, let me first start with what it is that the ADP Canada Happiness at Work Index is and what it is that it's actually looking at. So, reaching out to workers in Canada on a monthly basis, speaking to both full-time employees as well as part-time workers to get a sentiment and a pulse on happiness in their workplace. And so the score is made up of two parts. The first half is really, so 50% of the score is derived from one question, which is, how do you feel about your current work environment? And it's on a scale of 1 to 10. And that's about how satisfied you are currently with what it is that you're doing. The second half, so 50%, is made up of what we refer to as the secondary indicators. These are the drivers that really help us understand what it is that's impacting how people are feeling. And so those secondary indicators are work-life flexibility, work-life balance and flexibility, career advancement, recognition and support. So how much, an employee is actually being recognized and valued for what it is that they're doing and how supported they feel. And then finally, compensation and benefits.
Right.
The money is always important as well. So those are the 4 secondary factors.
Mm-hmm.
And we go out on a monthly basis, the same time every month, in order to get this pulse. And we look across the entire country, and we look at what the variation is across different regions.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's statistically significant data that helps us understand, are there nuances in different regions around happiness?
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that we also look at is generational differences.
Right.
So when somebody in the survey is identifying themselves as Gen X or a boomer, we look at what those differences are, as well as whether or not they're a people manager or an individual contributor. And all of that helps Canadian. I don't want to just say small business owners. I want to say people leaders. I want to say HR folks, office administrators, but actually all of us, because we
Right.
all contribute to happiness in the workplace. Real-time data on what the trends are.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the why is really important because ADP Canada wants to help employers really tap into their teams.
Mm-hmm.
You nailed it in your intro, Maheen. You saying the why engagement is important because it actually impacts the
Mm-hmm.
bottom line. It actually impacts productivity. It also influences things like somebody's willingness to stay.
Mm-hmm.
We know that hiring people and replacing people is an expensive endeavor. So there are a whole pile of good factors that really help us from a data perspective know that when we have high engagement and high happiness, this helps from a productivity perspective to the business.
Mm-hmm.
And it also impacts us because we're whole human beings.
Right.
And so, whether or not how it is that we're feeling outside of the workplace as well as inside the workplace, these are interconnected. So we do that to be able to provide folks with real-time current data so that they can use that to figure out how it is that maybe they can improve the happiness of their teams and improve the engagement score of who it is that they're working with. And that influences things like when you're communicating changes, the degree of transparency, how it is that you're focusing on the career development of your team, all of that in order to really improve the happiness of workers in Canada.
That is amazing, and that's such a valuable initiative, Heather. I mean, tracking employee sentiment and really understanding the factors that contribute to workplace happiness, it can help businesses create that positive and that productive work environment. Now, based on the findings from the Happiness at Work Index over the last few months, how are workers feeling? In today's Canadian workforce, and what are some of the kind of key trends and challenges that you've observed?
So we've been at this now for 2 years. So we're starting to see seasonality impacts. We're starting to see what happens at the change of the year. We start to see what happens when it gets a little warmer across the country. So there are trends. One of the things, though, that started off this year, this calendar year, was an increase in that sentiment, which is good news, right? We all need these good stories. So the increase actually went up 2 points from December in January, which is very good. When you look at the secondary indicators and you start to see what are the things that are driving that, things like an increase in work-life balance, as well as compensation, great.
Right.
In February, we started to see a decline. And, I always joke that I shouldn't always, when my son comes home with his report card from school, go straight to the lowest score, the lowest grade, and say, why is that? We have to focus both on the stuff that is working, that's going up, that have high scores so that we know what to reinforce, as well as, okay, what does my son need further assistance with, and where is there opportunity to further improve things? In February, we saw a decline across 3 of the main factors.
Mm-hmm.
So work-life balance and flexibility did decline. The biggest ones, though, compensation and benefits dropped 2 scores. And then the options for career advancement was the lowest score and declining.
Okay.
So not only is it going the wrong way from a trend perspective, it's actually the lowest score across the board. And that's fairly consistent across all of the regions. And so that helps us figure out, okay, what is it that we need to do to help support career advancement?
Mm-hmm.
I'm an optimist and I want to focus on the good news stuff. What I will say is that when we do the survey, we look at optimism. 63% of workers felt optimistic about meeting their career goals in 2025. So we're excited about what the future has to hold, as well as 73% of workers claim that their skills and talents are valued at work.
Right.
And this is super important. The more valued that we feel our work is doing, the more willing we're going to put in extra effort and help productivity. And that's about driving engagement overall.
No, those were invaluable insights. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us, Heather. And you're right, understanding those concerns and priorities of Canadian workers, it can help businesses really address potential issues and create a workplace where employees feel valued and supported. Now tell us, Heather, why is it so important for employers to keep a continuous pulse on the well-being of their workforce? And how can this information be used to improve first the employee engagement and productivity and basically the overall business success?
Work and outside of work, they're not separate entities. These aren't, we're not a totally different human being emotionally, mental health wise, we exhaustion, what it is that happens outside of our workplaces and inside impacts the other. And so they're very integrated. So it's really important to understand that interconnectedness and how one affects the other. I mentioned earlier trends that we're starting to see. Not only are we seeing seasonal trends, but even though the data doesn't ask it specifically, because we were talking about those 4 secondary indicators, we have seen regional differences when there are things happening in the world. A great example that I always go back to is when Atlantic Canada was on fire.
Right.
And there were wildfires burning. People felt physically unsafe. There was concern about, families, about their homes, about their environments, right? Forests, all the wildlife. We saw a significant decrease in happiness in the work. And so we know that they're interconnected, right? We have an idea of that. What I will say is that employers can prioritize work-life balance a number of ways. And that, when I think about, what are the opportunities, work-life balance and flexibility means something different to each of us.
Right.
So something that you'll hear us say over and over again is this idea that one of the most important things that people leaders, small business owners can do is actually allocate time to know their people. And that sounds kind of simple, but, work gets crazy at times.
It does.
And understanding that people don't always have the capacity to do that or don't prioritize it is very clear to us that, understanding individual motivations is critical. Because I would probably put it out there that what flexibility means to you Maheen, is very different than what flexibility means to me. And it changes over time. What flexibility meant to me 10 years ago versus flexibility now is very different. And so that's why it's so important for people leaders, small business owners, to know their teams. And part of that is, okay, does flexibility mean that no matter what, we need to be out of, if it's an office environment, be out at a certain time in order to pick children up
Right.
from daycare. It could be flexibility that there could be some care of family members. And so, based on what it is that's happening in their lives, hey, it might mean that I'm going to be looking after, my mother and helping, take her to appointments. As simple as it is, flexibility for me means that I get to go to my son's soccer game every
Right.
once in a while. I'm a soccer mom, and it's important to me. And if I didn't feel known and understood by my people, by my leader, then I wouldn't maybe feel as courageous about asking for that opportunity. And so, the other thing that I would say around knowing your people is also around encouraging taking a break. So we've done the time off tax study 4 years, which is tapping into the time off tax, this idea of how much time people have to put in extra prior to vacation and then following vacation. And that seems to go up and down. What we do know that is encouraging people to take their vacation and actually disconnecting, actually stepping away is good for business.
It is.
When I've gone away on a break and actually, trusted my team and disconnected, I feel refreshed. I feel more energetic. I feel more engaged getting back into it than if I haven't actually stopped. So it's about encouraging people to take their breaks, encouraging people to actually disconnect, but really knowing their people around what flexibility and that work-life balance means to them, so that as much as possible that can be accommodated.
No, you're right. I mean, monitoring the employee's sentiment and taking those proactive steps, as you listed it out to us, to address concerns, can really create a positive and productive work environment, really leading to improved business outcomes. And it's great. So thank you so much for highlighting those, Heather. Now let's shift our focus to global workforce trends and explore how Canadian businesses can really adapt to these changes and invest in their employees for future success. Listeners, if you are keeping a pulse on the well-being of your employees and creating a workplace where they feel valued, supported, and engaged, please remember that investing in your employees is an investment in the future success of your business. We'll be right back with insights on global workforce trends and strategies for investing in employees, so please stay tuned to learn how Canadian businesses they can adapt to these changes and create a thriving work environment.
Hey, you think you know UPS? Yeah, that's us. Everybody knows that. You know what you didn't know? This. Okay, try to keep up. Ocean, us. Ground, rail, air, so us. Guess who? Us. Customs cleared, borders cleared, done. Us. Still with me? Wait for it. Boom. Us. Intelligent, automated, fulfillment. Us. Yep. Healthcare too. Digital your thing? Yeah. Well, book it, ship it, track it. You feeling me yet? Yep. That's all us. That's all UPS.
At IHG Hotels and Resorts, we're in the business of you.
We're here to help you plug in,
connect, and recharge.
Make an impression,
and meet with confidence.
With 19 brands built for business,
your business gets even more rewarding.
With an award-winning loyalty program at 6,000 IHG hotels and resorts worldwide.
Welcome back, everyone. Let's explore how employers can create opportunities for career progression, address global workforce challenges, and foster a culture that encourages employees to thrive and grow with the company. So Heather, ADP Research, it recently released its People at Work report series, which provides valuable insights into the global workforce trends. And one of the reports found that when it comes to barriers for career advancement, globally 19% of workers reported their job lacks an opportunity to advance at all. How can employers create opportunities for career progression and skills development to boost employee engagement and retention?
Knowing that not just I'm valued, but that I have a path to grow and to develop is really important. And so that's key. I have a good list of opportunities, ways in which we can do that. So, we talk about stretch assignments. We talk about project exposure, right? If you know that what somebody wants to develop as a skill is something that then a project, when it comes up, you can expose them to that project so that they get more fulfilled and they're actually growing and developing is huge for folks. Training and development, I always say that it's not just about the traditional training opportunities. It's not just always about taking a course, although, those of us that want to be lifelong learners tend to be more engaged. But it's also around some of the non-traditional ways in which we can get training and development opportunities. Supporting mentorship relationships, creating an opportunity where the people leader feels safe enough for their employee to get external advice on how things are going and how it is that they can be more engaged and how it is that they can show up. The other thing that is an opportunity is exposure. And I want to dive into that a little bit because exposure is seemingly a little scary, right? It's like, what do you mean you're going to expose me to? But sometimes being really transparent about what's going on, providing an opportunity for somebody to rise to the occasion is there. I haven't told you this story before, but I had a terrible ski accident years ago, 3 years ago, and I broke myself quite badly.
Right.
And it was instantaneously I was removed from the workplace. And I was having surgeries and, was on serious drugs. So I couldn't even work remotely. And what happened is some of my team members got the exposure that they weren't getting prior. And so everybody stepped up. It was amazing. I feel super lucky to have been surrounded by the people that I was working with because we didn't miss a beat. It just kept going, which was great. But when I returned back from my leave of absence, I'll never forget my boss saying to me, "I can't believe, Heather, like Derek is amazing. Why didn't you tell me?" And I was like, "What do you mean? Why didn't I tell you? I've been telling you for more than a year how amazing Derek is and what his strengths are." And it dawned on me that me telling my leader about my teammate that, has these strengths and these skills is nothing like actually exposing him to the team, right? And so that little moment where I was like, well, sometimes you have to get out of the way.
To actually let them shine.
To actually let them shine. So that there, the exposure one is a good one. A recognition.
Right.
We know that that's one of the secondary factors. Again, how it is that you like to be recognized might be different than how I like to be recognized. And so understanding what the motivation is, not everybody wants to celebrate their big milestone achievements quite publicly, right? Some people want a small thank you. But that need for us to be in a place where when we are really impacting the business in an important way and the outcome and our results are driving activity and we feel seen, we feel that work is being recognized, goes a really long way for motivation and advancement in terms of retention, right? If I not only see what it is that I can be doing, but then when I do it, I get celebrated. That's really important. And then the last one that I want to touch on is feedback. That saying, feedback is a gift.
Right.
It is. But actually helping people, get insight into, how it is that they may be showing up, right? We have this, we only know what our intention is. We know what it is that we're trying to do. And that could be different than what the impact is.
Right.
And so helping people understand that there might be a difference between what their intention is that they know and that impact helps people develop, helps people learn more about themselves and actually improve so that they kind of squash that gap, right? So that what it is that their intention is actually received and felt by those around them. So there are a whole pile of ways that don't cost a whole pile of money, I'll say, to be able to have people, leaders, and teammates connect with each other in order to not just drive engagement, but drive retention that we know impacts happiness in the workplace.
Yeah, those were some great suggestions. Providing opportunities for growth, offering professional development programs, and really creating a clear career path can motivate employees and really enhance their commitment to the company. Now, globally, worker engagement is on the rise, but Canada's worker engagement has decreased. What are some of the factors that can both positively and negatively impact employee engagement, and how can employers create an environment that fosters engagement and encourages employees to thrive at work?
We know that when engagement is high, people are more productive, they're less likely to quit, and they're generally happier. So awesome. The trends overall are worth understanding globally. There are 4 of them that I want to highlight for your listeners. So quality of teams. Who it is that we spend time with in the workplace is important and actually does impact engagement. And one of the things that we found that is unfortunately lower in Canada than globally is that only 20% of workers noted that they're currently working on the best team that they've worked on.
Right.
And so that means that, there might not be the same kind of psychological safety in who it is that they're spending time. Maybe they don't feel like they are surrounded by people that share their values. Maybe their uniqueness isn't celebrated. So that's definitely an area for improvement for employers, specifically in Canada. The second one is workplace flexibility. I found this really interesting. So globally, those that are fully engaged, so self-reported in terms of fully engaged, partially engaged, or they're looking to get out, those that are fully engaged, so these are the people that, spring out of bed, jumping into work, are enthusiastic and optimistic. What is it that is unique about them? They tend to be more likely to be hybrid workers. So that tells us, and certainly, since the pandemic, the hybrid model has evolved, that there's engagement there. And I'm just going to connect it back to the secondary factor around work-life balance and flexibility. And so that's important. Understanding that, one of the expressions that I love is work isn't a place. It's an activity and an impact. It's an outcome and a result. And so when people feel like they've got the flexibility to work where it is that they need to be working, they're more engaged, which is amazing.
That is amazing. Those are very crucial factors, Heather. So thank you for highlighting those. And you're right, recognizing and rewarding employees, fostering a culture of open communication, and providing opportunities for growth and development can significantly impact employee engagement and overall morale. Now, Heather, your insights. This has been such a great, conversation. Every time you come, you just highlight such great trends and explain them all by breaking it down further for our audience. So again, thank you so much for that. And it's been incredibly valuable. As we wrap up, if there's one key message that you want our listeners to take away from our discussion today, Heather, what would it be?
Can I have 2?
Sure, have 3.
Can I give you 2? One is that, and I said it earlier, that managers, if you allocate the energy and time, allocate the capacity to know your people, everybody will benefit. The business will benefit, your team will benefit, you will benefit. And there are a number of ways of doing that. That could be as simple as a weekly check-in. That could be as simple as, allocating a little bit of time so that you understand the personal drivers and motivators. But that is number one. Allocate time and energy and care so that you know your people. Number one. The second one, and I always want to sneak this in because I believe that culture, engagement, happiness, this isn't just derived from the top down. So it's not just, a small business owner that's going to impact that. We all impact it.
Right.
So I want to encourage everybody. I want to remind everybody that you have a role to play, not only in your own happiness, but supporting those around you. And so that human connection and the ability to know each other and support each other and complement each other is again invaluable, because we're whole human beings. Business will do better, and then the entire outside of work will be better as well, in terms of how it is that we show up overall in our lives.
That is a powerful message, Heather, and it's beautiful too. Again, prioritizing employee well-being, really creating the positive and supportive work environment, and investing in our employees' growth and development. They're very essential for building a thriving and a successful business. So thank you so much, Heather, for sharing your insights and your expertise with us. And thank you for your time today.
Thank you again for having me.
We can't wait to have you back with us.
I look forward to it already. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was an insightful conversation with Heather Haslam, the VP of Marketing at ADP Canada, on the importance of employee well-being, the global workforce trends, and the strategies for building a happy, engaged, and productive workforce. Again, thank you for tuning into the Canadian SME Small Business Podcast. We really appreciate your continued support. Please be sure to subscribe to our podcast for more expert insights and resources that can help your business thrive. You can also visit our website, CanadianSME.ca, for valuable information and tools. A special shout out to our partners, RBC, UPS, IAG, and Google, for their ongoing commitment to empowering small businesses in Canada. Until next time, please keep innovating and striving for success. We'll see you in the next episode.